everyone, I'm Kris Vaughan. Thanks for having me on today. I am excited to be able to participate in the 12th Annual Nutritional Therapy Association Conference. So I'm excited to be here to talk to you a little bit about what we're going to be doing at the conference. So I have my tea. I hope you're all kind of settled in, and feel free to ask questions or make comments while we're going. And so I'll just tell you a little bit about me. I'm Kris Vaughan, like I said, and I'm a certified clinical herbalist. I've been an herbalist for just about 10 years now, maybe 11. And I am also the owner and program director of Herbal Wisdom Institute, which is an herbalism education facility in Arizona. And I'm also the Director of Practitioner Experience for Wise Woman Herbals, which means that I oversee our marketing and education efforts and our customer service team. So very happy to be a part of the Nutritional Therapy Association Conference on behalf of both Wise Woman Herbals and Herbal Wisdom Institute. So thanks so much for having me. So I'll tell you a little bit first about how I got into herbalism. I also am a nutrition practitioner. So I have board certification as a holistic healthcare practitioner as well. So when I'm working with a client, I utilize a lot of botanical medicine, but I also use nutrition. So I didn't grow up around anything natural. That just wasn't something that we did. I grew up where if we got sick, Mom took us to the pediatrician. And so that's how I raised my kids. And I want to say my daughter was 7. This is my youngest one. And she woke up one day with a tummy ache. And so, you don't think much of it. But when the tummy ache drags on, then I decided something wasn't right. I took her to the pediatrician. And that really turned into 9 months of her being in pain and not eating. And she was this teeny tiny little thing, so she couldn't afford to not eat. And 9 months of extensive testing at the pediatrician, and every single time their only answer was, well, I don't really know what's wrong with her, so here's some antacids. And I just really knew that at 7 years old, antacids couldn't possibly be the answer. So a friend of mine asked if she could recommend a few things. They were herbal things, and I thought, okay, whatever, but I thought that was kind of weird because I didn't really know anything about it. And so I went ahead and bought the things that my friend had recommended, and I gave them to my daughter. And within 3 days, she was pain-free and hadn't been for 9 months. So it was really mind-boggling to me, and it completely changed my whole worldview. And so I began to really research not only herbs, but nutrition, and really revamped how our family functioned in the foods that we ate and in the way that we cared for ourselves using herbal medicine. And so that led me to study herbalism. And then after my herbalism education, I went and studied nutrition. So I really put together this blending of the two because I think they're so necessary. The first thing we always have to do is look at nutrition and food. And I always tell people food matters. And if you can get food right, then we don't even really need so much of the herbs. And so I utilize herbs as a way to balance the body after we focused on nutrition. So I love the pairing of the two. And I'm really excited because over the last few years, the way that I practice herbalism has really changed. And, when I first started, I was very focused on what were the actions of a particular herb and then matching that to symptoms. So it's really a very sort of allopathic way of looking at herbalism, which at that time in my herbal career, that was fine. But then I began to study other medicine traditions like Ayurveda and traditional Chinese medicine and Native American medicine, and beginning to come to this realization that herbs and nutrition is just much more of a holistic practice when we also think about the personalities of an individual, the way that they show up in the world, the way that they respond to things around them. And then we look at herbs as well as having personalities, and we pair them. It's like, you meet a new friend and you instantly know whether or not you jive with that person or not. And so, we're drawn to each other for certain reasons. And sometimes that's because a friend that we meet has a similar personality, or they like a lot of the same things. But sometimes the best friendships come when we pair up with people that are completely opposite from us, because they balance us out. And so herbs do the same thing if we're really starting to tune into who is our client and who is the herb that we're looking to use. And so I start to look more at energetics of an herb. So is something a hot herb, or is it a cooling herb? Because that's going to make a difference when I'm picking something for my client. If I'm working with a menopausal woman and she's having tons of hot flashes, I'm not going to give her super hot herbs because she will hate me, right? So I have to give her things that are very cooling to the body, to calm that excess fire that she has going on. So that's just, one way of looking at it. But then I got really excited as I was looking at the different medicine systems, how they really start to pair herbs based on, and so we look at there's 5 basic flavors, or in Ayurveda there's 6, but we look at 5 basic flavors. Those would be sweet, salty, bitter, sour, and pungent. And so at Wise Woman Herbals, we created a botanical fundamentals kit that really focuses on these flavors. And so it became a really useful tool for me and for other practitioners to employ this idea of choosing herbs based on flavors, and that these flavors correlate with body systems or particular organ tissue in order to bring balance to the body. So one of the tools that I use that comes in the Botanical Fundamentals Kit is this Herbal Energetics Guide. So it's a wheel, and you'll see it's color-coded, and each of the colors represents a different herbal flavor. And then also on the wheel, so each piece of the pie is a different herb, and it will list the herb with its common name and its botanical name. Then it lists the organ or body system that it has an affinity for. And then it goes into maybe a particular product that Wise Woman Herbals has available that has that as an ingredient. And then whether it is warming or cooling, so that's the energetic. And then in the center you have the flavors. So for instance, this blue is bitter, so everything in this blue section are bitter herbs, and I'll go a little bit more into what those flavors mean. But this is a really great guide, and so I like to pull this out when I'm working with a client, and really take them through this wheel so it becomes like an experience with them. And then I pull out another part of that kit, which is our deck of botanical cards. And so there are 25 different cards, and you'll see they're all color coded, and they're so much fun. So this first one, for instance, is Oregon grape, and it is color coded in the blue, which means that this is bitter. And so you have this beautiful image of the plant, and then on the back we have information about the plant, so that it goes into what are its energetics, what plant family does it come from, what part of the plant is used, what flavor does it have, and then some basic information on the plant, like maybe where does it grow, or what does it look like, things like that. And so that really gets people to connect to the plant by visually seeing an illustration of the plant, and then learning about the plant, and then taking a look at the wheel with you. And then you really get to employ the flavor of the herb using your LNT process. And so this is where I'm super excited about the conference, because I get to teach a pre-conference intensive along with Rachel Elm, who's one of the Nutritional Therapy Association instructors. And we're going to be teaching an herbalist guide of the LNT process. And so during that course, I'm going to go really deep into the herbs that are in this botanical fundamentals kit and how they correlate with flavors and how that correlates to different body systems. And so we'll talk about how you use that herb therapeutically with your clients. And then at the second half is going to be a hands-on portion of that pre-conference workshop that Rachel will take you through and actually guiding you step by step through using each of these in that LNT assessment process. So it's going to be super fun. And so just kind of a little preview of flavors. If this is a concept that is new to you, it's really easy to begin to use herbs if we're looking at them in terms of flavors, because this is something that will really make sense to nutrition therapy practitioners, because you're dealing with flavors all the time in terms of food. So first would be sweet flavors. So sweet flavors are nourishing and building to tissue, calming. I mean, think about when you choose a sweet food. So, you know, let's say you chose ice cream, okay? I'm just gonna throw ice cream out there. So what happens when you take that first bite of ice cream? Like oftentimes you go, ah, right? Like you just stop for a second and you just savor the sweet flavor. So that is what will happen when we use a sweet herb as well. So Bella is asking where you can get a copy of the package, the energetics guide and the wheel. So yeah, you can order that through Wise Woman Herbals, and you can see that on their website, wisewomanherbals.com. And they also have a blog where you can just download the energetics wheel if you want to just start playing with the wheel. So you can go on their blog for that too. So, and I'll mention that again at the end. But so anyway, back to flavors. So sweet are those calming and nourishing types of herbs. Now, when I'm talking about the sweet flavor, that's not necessarily sweet on the tongue like sugar is. So it's more of a sweet energetic in the body and how the body perceives that. So when you taste an herb like oat, for instance, we would look at oat as sweet and calming and nourishing. It's more that the flavor on the tongue is going to be very mild. And so mild or sweet would be what we call that. One on the wheel here might be marshmallow root. Oh my gosh, I love marshmallow root. So that was one of the things that I used with my daughter when she was really young, and that really helped her. And that's a very calming and soothing herb for the digestive tract. Sweet flavor. So the next flavor would be bitter. And so bitters are herbs that help to promote production of digestive fluids. So our hydrochloric acid, pepsin, mucin, and our enzymes that we use to break down fats, proteins, and carbohydrates. And bitters also stimulate movement through the digestive tract. So that's a normalizing flavor. And so we think in terms of food, we think of bitter, dark, leafy greens, right? And so we eat those before a meal. Like that's when we would eat a salad. And that gets all of the digestive fluids going so that we can properly break down nutrients and absorb nutrients in the digestive tract. So then the third flavor would be sour, and this goes really right along with bitter. A lot of our bitter herbs are also sour herbs, and so sour herbs really work on the gallbladder and promote release of bile from the gallbladder. So bitter herbs, along with promoting digestive fluids, they are stimulating the liver to produce bile, And then sour herbs are doing that as well, but then they're also promoting the healthy release of bile so that we can break down fats. And then we have salty foods. And so salty foods would be things that, we have two different kinds of salt. We have salt that comes from minerals. So that would be our really mineral rich, very nutrient dense herbs. And then we have true salt. And so that would be things like our seaweeds. And so in the salty category, we have a lot of nourishment, but we also have water regulation, fluid regulation. So these herbs are possibly going to be diuretic, or they're going to be very astringent. So drying up and tightening things. And then the last herbal flavor that we have is pungent. And so these are hot and spicy herbs that are typically antimicrobial. So we're looking at things like garlic and ginger and hot chili peppers, and you know, there's a lot of other herbs that are hot. Those are the ones that just pop in my head that I use all the time. But so these are typically things that are like I said, antimicrobial, or they're sparking a fire in your vital life force, your vital energy, in your digestive center, and they get things moving. So these can also be very blood moving kinds of herbs. And so when we start to look at herbs in these flavors, then it doesn't seem as overwhelming to begin to use herbs in your nutrition practice, because you're already doing it with food. So it becomes this kind of natural progression. And so where food may not be meeting all of the needs of our client, then we can add in these herbs to really start balancing things. And so what I like to do is, you know, I have a client change nutrition first, and we give that, you know, a good 6 to 8 weeks. And then we take a look at what has resolved itself, because with proper nutrition, so many things will resolve itself. And what's left over is what we then come in and balance with herbs. So I hope that gets you a little bit excited about using herbs, if that's something that's really new to you. Or if you've been using herbs for a while and maybe this is a concept you're already familiar with, that's awesome. So yeah, if you can come to the pre-conference intensive, we're going to dig really deep into this. It's going to be a 4-hour seminar. So I hope that you can get registered for that. And then I am excited too, because I have other teaching opportunities at the conference. So I'm going to be hosting and facilitating a panel discussion of herbalists. There's 5 herbalists on that panel. And so we're going to be talking about how to incorporate plant medicine into your nutrition practice. And so you're going to get lots of different perspectives from different herbalists on how we do that and how you can do that as well. And then there's also a time that I'm, along with the practitioner education manager from Wise Woman Herbals, Dr. Yasmin Farshad, we're going to be talking a little bit about bitters. And so that'll be during one of the snack breaks. So that'll be kind of fun. Bitters during the snack makes perfect sense. And so we're calling that one Bitters Are Sweet. So I really hope that you get to join us, and then of course stop by the Wise Woman Herbals booth during the conference, because we'll get to chit chat and say hello. And so thank you so much for being on today. I hope that you're getting really excited about the conference like we are. We can't wait to be there. We're so happy to be a part of the NTA and the conference. So if you want to get in touch with me, you can do that through my school website, which is herbalwisdominstitute.com, and that's where I teach herbalist certification courses. And we are also now a approved provider for continuing education credits for the NTA. So take a look at that. And then if you want information on the Botanical Fundamentals Kit, you can find that at wisewomanherbals.com. And then in the search, you just search Botanical Fundamentals and it'll pop right up. It's a beautiful kit of 25 single liquid extracts, and then you get a product guide with information on how to use each of those. You get the Herbal Energetics wheel, and you get the deck of cards, and it's just such an awesome tool for you. So thank you again for coming on today, for letting me take over on the NTA Facebook page, and I hope to see you soon. Take care, everyone.